Got a little bit of advice for you before you go throwing away your weed eaters. Don't go just pitching them out because it won't start. It may not start because it needs a new spark plug. It may not start because the spark plug needs cleaned. You know, check and make sure the spark plug has spark first. Check and make sure it's got compression, and you can tell if it's got compression because it's hard to pull. Clean out your carburetors, you know, pull them kind of completely apart. Well, you know, pull the bulb off of the one side and then pull the other part off of the other side. You know, make sure you don't mess up your gaskets. And anyways, just clean out your carburetor real good and make sure there's no guck in. On the bulb side, there's this little screen in there, a little tiny screen, and it'll gather up junk and yuck in it. That's what was wrong with this one, I think. It had guck in that little screen, and I cleaned it up, and I pulled off the other side and cleaned it up. Put it back together, put it back on, and voila, it was just fine. So, like I say, don't just go throwing them out because they won't start first couple of tries. There's this screen over here on the other side where this bulb goes, and this thing was just caked with dirt and ick. So I'm figuring that's probably why it wouldn't start no more, because I've had this thing probably 5 years or so, and it started every time with no problems until this year. And so I decided to take this apart and clean the carburetor. And they're pretty easy to take apart. You've got these 4 bolts. You take it apart real gently, like. Make sure you don't rip this little gasket part, because it's actually pretty important. And make sure you don't rip this gasket, because you'll have to go get a new one of those. Usually rebuild kits for these are dirt cheap. But like I say, if you can pull it apart and save all your gaskets, they're usually just fine to keep reusing. It's not like it's a 750 Edelbrock carb or nothing. It's just a little Walboro I think this is like 25 cc's maybe. Yeah, it's a little 25 cc. All you really usually have to do is just clean them, and that's pretty much all you usually have to do. It's pretty easy. It's pretty basic stuff. It's not anything that's super hard to do. And then whenever you go to put it back on, you just reconnect your lines like they're supposed to. You line it up. You'll have to reline this up, because this will go like that. Oops. You'll have to reline this. You'll have to reline the carburetor, and then reline this piece here. And then you'll have these big long bolts that go in it. So, and then I'm going to set you down. And then once you reline the holes with the bolts, now I'm hoping this works. If this doesn't work, then I'm kind of at a loss. But usually just cleaning out these carburetors is all you really need to do. You don't have to throw away the unit. You don't have to send it to a shop. Something you can do yourself. Like I say, we're not talking about a big 750 Edelbrock carb. We're talking about a little Walboro weed eater carb. When you tighten these, you don't really have to torque them down. You just kind of want them a little tight though, because you don't want air getting in there. Well, you want air in there, but you don't want any excess air, as it were. Anyways, and sometimes you have to replace your filter. You may want to try replacing your filter, and that might help. But normally, we're going to see what happens here, and we're going to see if this thing will work. Yep, I forgot to reconnect that before the throttle. I forgot to reconnect the throttle. Yep. Oh man. So, anyways, make sure you reconnect your throttle cable before you put this all back together. I'm not showing you a full-blown disassembly of this thing. I'm just kind of giving you pointers on. Just sometimes all you got to do is just clean it out. Clean out your carburetor, and usually you'll be just fine. Usually. The 2 cycles are a little bit more. They have full-blown gas weed eaters now, though, so you know, you may not need any of that. Of course, they are tiny carburetors too, because I actually have a gas one over there, but I sure like this one a lot, and I'd like to keep it, and as long as not too much stuff is wrong with it, and I can get it to stay working, I'd like to keep it. Probably gonna have to readjust my throttle here. Because I did move that screw and I shouldn't have, but I did. I was pretty sure that's all it was, so basically all you have to do sometimes is just clean your carburetor. You don't have to throw it away or give it to the neighbor, or, you know, I mean, that's fine if you just got a bunch of extra money or you're just looking for an excuse to upgrade. I guess that's fine, but anyways, that's the Remington. It says Quick Start Rustler RM 2510. Little 25cc two cycle. I love this thing. Like I say, I've had it for about 5 years, and it's been a champ. So, anyways, guys, that's gonna be about it. All you really have to do is remember, you don't have to throw your weed eater away. You can always start with the small stuff, you know. Just start by cleaning the carburetor completely. Pull it apart, take the little bulb off, check that little screen down in there. Like I say, that one was gunked up, so you know, these things are pretty easy. Just take and clean that carburetor, and you know, you should be just fine. Like I say, it did not run before I did that. And now it runs just fine, and now it's raining. But that's okay, I already got my yard weed eated before this. I used my other weed eater. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I sure appreciate it, and feel free to subscribe, and I'll have more helpful little tips along the way in life. Just this little simple tip was no big deal. Sometimes all you have to do is clean your carburetor. Just remember that. Keep it clean. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a spectacular day or night, even if it's raining. Peace out. And don't wear yourself out, because, you know, I did that, messing with it, trying to get it started, because my brain wasn't working right. I hadn't cleaned this thing in like 5 years, you know. The whole time I had it, I hadn't cleaned it, you know. And for it to last 5 years without cleaning it out is actually really good, considering I only paid like 80-some bucks for it back then. And anyway, so I decided to calm down a little bit and take a few minutes and start thinking about what could be wrong. So I checked the spark plug, I cleaned the spark plug, and I checked to make sure it was getting spark, and it was getting spark. So, you know, and I checked for the compression. Obviously it had compression because it was hard to pull. So I was like, well, there's only one other thing that I could actually try, and so I was like, I'll go ahead and I'll pull apart this Walbro carburetor, and there you go. I cleaned it out real good, and there you have it. Anyways,